Coming up this Sunday night, November 24th at 7 p.m. at the Fort Garry Hotel, Jazz Winnipeg is inviting audiences to get their groove on with the Very Groovy Things. Consisting of 4 of Winnipeg's finest singers and band, the Very Groovy Things specialize in music from the 60s. The core of the group's repertoire coming from the Mamas and the Papas, but their set list also includes music from the 60s Laurel Canyon scene, as well as some tunes from the British Invasion. This is going to be an incredibly fun concert full of nostalgia and good vibes. A concert that makes you yearn for a time when drum machines, auto-tuning, and the bloated studio production of today are not there.
Yay.
And joining me here at the Classic 107 studio to talk about their show this Sunday night at the Fort Garry Hotel, I am joined by 2 of the grooviest of the groovy things, singers Jodie Borle and Bill Quinn. Hey, Bill and Jodie, great to have you.
Hi, Chris. Nice to be here.
Okay, so I want to start the interview by getting this right out of the way. A couple of days ago, I got an email from Jodie saying that the show is sold out. A big congratulations for that.
Thank you.
But it just seems so fun. I thought, I'd have you in anyway, and we talk up the show. How does it feel to have the show sold out and know that that's a thing?
It's really good. We were just talking before talking to you, Chris, that our last 4 theater shows in the city have all sold out. So we're starting to gain an audience that is pretty loyal. Mm-hmm. And of course, we also benefit from the Jazz Winnipeg series at the Club Room, which I know that people almost have a season ticket. They go to every show. Yeah. And so, put that together with the people that like to hear us. And we're just thrilled that we've sold it out a week in advance.
Mm-hmm. And Jodie, how about you? How does it feel?
Yeah, well, I'm in the same boat as Bill. I really think that certain venues have an appeal, certainly too. So you get a cushy chair, I'm in. Absolutely. You'll get
snacks and drinks.
Snacks and drinks and a comfy chair. Yeah. I mean, that is just like a triple threat right there. So, yeah.
And music from the 60s. Yep. Can you talk about who the other 2 singers are? It's a quartet, right? The Groovy Things are a quartet. There's you 2, Jodie and Bill. And who are the other 2?
Olivia Maxfield is our soprano. She's starting to get out there as a solo singer. She just did a weekend at the Forks with a band. But has been known before now as sort of a soloist, as a choral singer. And Dan Roachgood, who's been on the scene for a long time, Winnipeg Singers, Canzona, and is part of the 5-piece a cappella group, Proximus 5 right now.
Right.
Yeah, and he's just such an incredible talent. His countertenor / alto is amazing, and he's got a real feel for the style that we're doing in this band too.
Mm-hmm. There's also a band as well, right? Can you talk about who's in the band on stage on Sunday?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, sure. So Rick Boughton is on piano. Rick is certainly no stranger, certainly to the Jazz Fest scene, as well as pretty much every other scene in Winnipeg. And so when we do our show on Sunday, how it's basically going to work is just going to have the a trio, basically, Rick Boughton and Kinsey Posen and Rob Sowick on drums, accompanying me for the first half. And then they're going to join the rest of our band when we do the Moms and Papa set, which is James Hickerson.
Terry Barnett on guitars, right? Kel Weiss on flute. And that's about it.
That's it. Make sure that I don't
There's
forget
10
anybody.
of us.
Oh yeah, all told.
Just phenomenal musicians, and Bill has done such a wonderful job in bringing us all together to have this super fun experience.
Yeah, can you talk about? I want to talk about the arrangements. Like, how does that work? Like, are you just straight up lifting off the records, or?
Well, kind of yes and no. Dan, our tenor, does some vocal arranging, and so initially we were putting the hits of the Mamas and Papas together. He would listen to the recording and then fit a vocal arrangement around our 4 voices. So what an advantage that was to have that right off the bat. So a lot of the hits came together fairly quickly because he wrote out the parts, and so we had sheet music of a lot of the vocal arrangements, right?
And then charts for the band, how did it say?
Charts for the band. Rick is our music director, but James Hickerson also did some arranging for the band as well. And so you got guys that really have a feel for the kind of sound we're looking for, and put that together with a vocal arranger, and it's magic. It comes together pretty quickly. The initial idea was way back in 2017 when I was retiring from teaching, and Laurie McKenzie and I put the band together. And Laurie, I think, who's played with every musician in Winnipeg for the last 30 years, we came up with this idea because there were so many tribute acts either coming through Winnipeg or starting up in Winnipeg. Yeah. And the response has just been great.
We were talking about this off air. I do a lot of work in the schools as a clinician, and one of the things that I'm always amazed at is the amount of Creedence Clearwater Revival, Pink Floyd, Zeppelin shirts, the Stones shirts the students wear. Can you talk about the demographic for Groovy Things shows? I mean, it's not just 60-somethings, right, Jodie?
No, absolutely not. I think the appeal of that music is that there are certain genres of music, or even certain bands or certain musicians who play such timeless music. It's such good music that it doesn't matter what decade it is. People will come to see the show. So, for example, my best friend and her husband are coming. Certainly, I mean, I'm part of the draw of that. But they've just turned 40, so similar to my age, and they're bringing parents who are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. There's even the grandkids of that couple that are coming. So you think of an entire family can come to one of our shows and have an exceptional time. And this music is familiar. Like for me, I wasn't new to Mamas and Papas when I started with this group. I have this memory of driving an old truck back in the 90s that only had AM radio. Yeah. So I'm listening to the Mamas and Papas all the time. Just from being exposed to it, I already came in with a familiarity of it, and you spoke about that nostalgia. Well, that's what it is to me. It's a core memory of being younger, of like a more innocent time, and I think that's the appeal for a lot of people, no matter what age you are, to come and listen to this music and just be transported back to a time that was arguably quite a bit simpler than our time right now that we're living in.
Yeah, I think. Not only that, but you have radio stations that play this stuff all the time, right? You also have a number of the hits appear in movies or new series on streaming services. I was watching The Morning Show the other day on Apple Plus, and California Dreamin' was the song that ended one of the episodes, right? And it was made last year. So the music is still, in the consciousness of people. What was that Academy Award-winning movie that Quentin Tarantino did? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, right. And so there's a scene of a party at Mama Cass's house. Right.
Yes,
and that was 2 years ago. So the music's still out there.
Yeah, and when I was putting together the interview, one of the things that popped into my mind was Dazed and Confused, the movie, was made in the 90s. The soundtrack is from the 70s. Yeah, it's a decade later, but it's a killer soundtrack. It's one of the things that really does make that movie.
I remember buying that on CD, actually. Yeah,
that's right.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
happy face right on the cover.
Yeah, and I think the influence of the parents of kids now and grandparents, really, right? That introduce them to this music, and it, like Jodie was saying, it's timeless stuff, and great music lasts a long time. Look at the Beatles, right?
I'm presuming not all of the songs are going to be done in 4-part harmony. Like there's going to be songs that feature specific singers. Is that right? And can you talk about some of the songs?
Well, I think just about every tune we do as a group has at least some background vocals.
Okay.
There isn't one?
I don't think so.
No. Really? So even if there wasn't like one of the British Invasion tunes we do was "To Sir with Love" that Olivia does, and there weren't vocals in the original, but we decided to sing some string parts, just to fill out the sound, right? Yeah. So we do that on 3 or 4 songs that I can think of that didn't necessarily have backing vocals that we've added just to fill it up and make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so the Groovy Things started out originally as a Mamas and Papas cover band. Can you briefly just talk about some of the Mamas and Papas tunes that people are gonna hear? Those who are lucky enough to have tickets.
Oh, absolutely. So you're going to recognize so many of them. Clearly, California Dreamin' was such a big hit, and people will be able to sing along to that one. Monday is another one that will be very familiar to people. I think we're doing stuff that may not be as familiar to people. Certainly not as familiar from my perspective, because they weren't as popular on the radio back in the day. Songs like No Salt on Her Tail, which is one of my favorites in the whole set, but wasn't necessarily that massive a hit when it first came out.
Yeah, and things like 1230 was recorded a couple of years ago by, I'm losing it. I am an old guy. Not Loudon Wainwright's son. What's his name?
Oh, Rufus.
Rufus Wainwright.
Rufus Wainwright. Yeah.
Did it on his last album. Did 1230.
Oh, fun. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There we go. There's a plug for Rufus.
Like I say, these songs keep coming back. For example, I always intro Go Where You Want to Go. Was a Toyota commercial during the Stanley Cup playoffs 3 years ago. So it's funny how you've heard of a lot of these songs.
Yeah. Can you talk about the Laurel Canyon scene? I mean, when I think of Laurel Canyon, I think of the Eagles, Joni Mitchell, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. What tunes from that scene are you going to be
Well, we kind of look at things that came over British invasion-wise, but people settled there, right? So Jerry and the Pacemakers, for example, Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying. For the most part, the Laurel Canyon influence is in a lot of our arrangements, and we're looking to expand now. We've had so many people that have seen us and keep coming back to our shows that keep asking for a little bit different stuff, and so we're looking into doing some Linda Ronstadt, for example, and perhaps some Joni Mitchell in the future. And so that's kind of the direction that we're going to take the band now, just because people have been asking for it, and perhaps groups like the Byrds would fit in well with what we do with our 2-guitar sound and things like that. So we're looking at that for the future.
It's interesting you say that, and specifically, so Bill mentioned Jerry and the Pacemakers, and so Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying was a song that I did as a jazz arrangement when I gigged around town, and so Bill heard that I had done that tune as part of my set, and it was brought in to our shows, which is amazing. So on Sunday night, what's going to happen is I'll sing that as part of my jazz set prior to the Groovies coming up on stage. And so it'll link the two sets together. So you'll have the jazz set, you'll have the groovy set, but we're going to mesh it together to become a cohesive show. So it'll be good.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that some of the people who have seen our band may not have heard Jodie do her jazz stuff, and so that would be something new for them, as well as people that are coming here. Jodie may not have heard the Groovies before, and maybe we can open the door to some more awareness of the breadth of music that they recorded over their 5 years together.
Yeah, fantastic. It all sounds so great. A big congratulations on selling out this show. What are you both looking forward to most about Sunday? Jodie, I'll start with you.
I think I'm really excited about being involved with Jazz Winnipeg again. So it's been a spell. So people may not have seen me as part of the jazz scene for quite some time. I've been sort of flying under the radar. But, I was part of the Jazz Festival for 20 years, just hustling about. And so it'll be really, really nice to come back. And let's bring back the word nostalgic again. It'll be sort of a nostalgic return. And I think I'll feel quite comforted to sing in front of a sold-out crowd on Sunday. So I'm pretty excited.
Always. And, and hopefully, they'll consider us possibly for the festival coming up. It would be lovely to play the Jazz Festival, too.
Absolutely.
So, we're excited to be there on Sunday and see some old friends and meet some new ones.
Yeah, and such a great room as well.
Oh, fantastic room.
Jodie and Bill, this has been so terrific to have you here. It makes me jealous for all the people who managed to get tickets. The show is going to be amazing. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk to me today. It's been great.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much.